Welcome to Made for Mondays, the source for digging a little deeper into the Believers Church Sunday messages and finding ways to apply them to our daily lives. Together, let's take a deeper look and find a way to bring Mondays back to life.
Hello, podcast world. Welcome to Made for Mondays.
Podcast world.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like an amusement
That's where
park.
we're living in.
Yeah.
Wow. Man, the emails, the text messages, the phone calls just were flowing in this past week, begging me to host for a second week in a row.
Oh, yeah.
I believe that.
It was overwhelming.
We respond to the listeners.
Yeah, and we were like, you know
and
what?
Viewers. Yeah.
We don't
Get
get many
outta here,
questions,
Heather.
Yeah.
but we do get that.
Yeah, we don't.
So that's-
I got 2 questions today for the whole podcast, but I am hosting. It's going to be amazing.
Are we going to
go.
read those emails, like all the ones that came in?
We deleted. We're not showboaters around
yeah,
here.
we
We're
just got
trying
rid
to
of
be
them
humble. We're going to talk about
immediately.
that too. Yeah,
That's
we read it and then deleted it.
That's good.
Just moved on.
That's cool.
So that's where we're sitting.
How many did we get?
Yeah.
It's honestly you can't count.
No, I can count.
No,
Can you guys count?
we literally can't.
I can count to 10.
We literally
Yeah.
can't count because nobody. There was 0. There was nothing to count.
right.
But I can imagine what people were thinking.
They probably were.
as we
Right.
were coming across the airwaves.
You did
so-
a great job last week.
until the very end. Catch me
Well,
outside.
that's true.
That was so very funny.
That was
Yeah.
awesome.
Is that just inside, just waiting to come out at all times?
Apparently, I need to use
Catch me
that phrase
outside.
a
How
lot.
about that?
Yeah. So I was watching the NBA All-Star game last night.
200
and-
points?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. They got to change it up.
Come on.
But one thing that I wanted to take from that and bring into this room, and it's going to be a little different this morning. And I wrote this down. Doug, you were late coming to the podcast, so
Yeah,
I
I've
didn't
been
get
here
a
for
chance. We'll talk
2
about that in a
minutes.
second. But a 6'2" guard
yeah.
out of upstate New York. You about
Oh.
6'2"?
6'1".
A 6'1". You played guard in high school?
No,
What
actually,
were you the tallest on the team?
I was the tallest on the
Okay,
team
okay.
until 10th grade.
All right, a 6'1" center
That's what I was.
from upstate New York with 30 plus years of ministry experience, including France, speaking fluent French still.
Not really still.
Right.
But yeah, I have.
He's a veteran in the United States
Army
Army
Reserve, yeah.
Army Reserve.
That's it.
He's a Buick driving, motorcycle riding, Fritz walking, pastor preacher, Mr. Reverend James Stewart.
Wow,
get a
that's-
Welcome to the podcast.
Can we get
That
a
is quite an introduction.
That was very good.
That was
was.
awesome. Can we do that on Sunday sometime?
That'd be awesome.
That would
Welcome.
be. We got the curtain now. We could
Yeah.
you could announce
We've
that,
talked-
then
we're-
the curtain
we're slowly-
opens, and
yeah,
out I
that
come.
The curtain takes a while to open though,
Yeah,
so
it really
we
does.
could start it as we just got to do a longer introduction.
That's fun. That was pretty long.
Also on the podcast, a 6'3", 6'2",
6'2 and a half, 3. whatever.
power
I think
forward.
3.
We can
You
round
played
up.
power forward.
I was a guard. In college.
6'3"
Were you really?
guard.
Wow.
Yeah.
What I read
That's some
in
big
here.
guys.
Yeah, I scratched out forward, so you were a
Yeah.
guard.
All
Yeah,
right,
6'3" guard from Lynchburg,
Madison
Virginia.
Heights, technically.
Madison Heights,
Yeah, but
Virginia,
pretty
of
much
course. Yeah.
yeah.
He's our in-house theologian.
Yeah.
Yo, yo.
How about that?
What up, what
Seminary.
up?
MDiv. He's got the biggest degree on staff.
Yes, also a veteran of the United States Air Force chaplain. This is awesome. I'm adding one. He's a no cheese eating, guest service leading, socks and sandals wearing, French bulldog dad,
There you
Mr.
go.
Reverend Tyler Brown. Welcome to the podcast. It's great to have you.
These are great
These
introductions.
are awesome.
very
This
good.
is next level.
Do you have
I'm just
something
gonna
for
rip
Doug?
off this one. I'm
Yeah.
gonna rip.
No, I want to see like
He's
if I were to play basketball, what position would
He's
you
a
put me in?
6'1",
6'1" and a half.
6'1" and a half with
You're
shoes
taller than
on,
me?
almost 6'2".
Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, we round up to 6'2".
There you go.
Skateboarding legend.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, he
I
is.
forget about that.
That's good.
He's a Halo playing, second
man.
placing
Oh no.
gamer
We're at the
from
start
the
of
greatest
game.
Halo game
Yeah,
ever
The
played.
greatest game ever played.
You'll have to ask us off air about that if you're interested.
Yeah. Or on air. We could talk about it.
Yeah, we don't have to get into that. Oh man, I wish Doug. I would have
Don't
had
you
so
have to
much
have
more written.
something about
Anime
hair
loving.
product?
Yeah, dude.
The best hairstyling.
Yeah, sure,
anime
sure.
wearing.
Yeah. I'm a paladin in Dungeons and Dragons. You can add that in there if you want.
And my arch nemesis of all things,
Oh, yeah.
my opposite friend, Mr.
awesome.
Doug Ray Vance. Welcome to the podcast.
What's up, everybody?
So Doug got asked to come onto this podcast about 6 minutes ago because we were just looking through questions that, I mean, no, would never throw anybody on the bus, but
But Heather dialed this one
yeah,
in.
this one, this one got packed in pretty quick last Wednesday, so we're gonna have to riff a little bit on
let's do
our
it.
questions. But Doug, thanks for joining us. We are.
Yeah, thank you, Doug.
You
Yeah,
were
it's an
just
honor.
sharing how this is the year of you trying to master your calendar.
Yeah.
And
so
a
you,
lot of
you
that.
have people who are going to hold you accountable to that.
They said they are.
Yes.
And some of them might even listen to the podcast. I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
They
they
probably
probably
are.
do.
Yeah.
And one of those ways is to say no to a lot of things.
Yeah. Well, not a lot of things, just the things that are going to interfere with the most important things.
What are the most important things you have this week?
This morning, like things I was doing in the moment.
Yeah.
Just like finalizing my to-do list, looking
Yeah.
at message prep,
Okay.
sending in final scripts,
No
so
big
slides
deal.
can be made.
That sounds pretty
Just some
important.
working on Easter.
Yeah, just some Easter
Yeah,
things.
I have this Easter challenge card I need to finalize so I can get it to Jeremy with
Yeah.
enough time so that the designs can be done.
All that seems very important.
Oh yeah, there's
Yeah.
a lot. I woke up this morning early with like just a cold sweat.
Sweating. Like, I have so much to do.
So many things today.
so bad.
So walk us through this. You're sitting down at your desk and you're getting ready to tackle this incredible to-do list.
Oh yeah, no, I was opening the series in March so I can start looking at that and
Yeah.
mapping out,
And then-
teaching stuff and all that.
And then what happened?
And then Tyler comes rushing in. Says,
In a panic.
yeah, in a panic. Hey man, are you busy right now? And I didn't know what to say. What did I say?
You said, no?
No, it's Monday. It's Monday morning.
Yeah, busy is so subjective, right? And then I said, yes, let's go.
Well, we're grateful.
Yeah.
That
Even though you let down your accountability partners.
Oh, they don't know about it yet.
No.
I haven't officially let them
that's
know
nice.
yet.
You're living without regret right now. Then
No regret.
Once the pod goes
No-
down.
no regrets.
YOLO for real.
Yeah, so we're glad you joined. This might be the
Yeah.
first time it's been all dudes on the
I
podcast.
believe so.
Yeah, yeah.
It might be the last time.
Might be the last time.
We'll
Probably
we'll
will
figure
be.
it out. But so we had a ton of things happen Sunday, but I just wondered, does anybody have anything from the weekend that you're like, I got to share this because it was pretty awesome what we did.
We do. I actually got some really good guidance from the guys here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because everyone has been in anticipation of this. I'm not going to share the thing.
Okay.
Right.
But just so things go well at home. But we did do a gender reveal.
Yes.
And so we do know the gender, but we're not going to say.
Of your baby.
Until of the baby.
That's due.
That's due July 18th.
Nice.
All right.
So all that news is free to share.
Yeah.
And so
Tyler was on the verge of disclosing,
I was.
and we talked him
I was-
down.
He didn't
I was
even
even-
second guess it.
No.
We're like,
He-
Tyler,
he's
he's like,
pretty
I'll share it.
confident.
Yes.
He's like, I'm going to share it on the pod. We were like, you might want to send
yeah.
a quick text.
They saved me.
Clear that with Karina
Okay.
first.
Go with Karina first.
So the text
Yeah.
came back. I was like, bro, no, not yet.
Nope.
Oh, man.
Not right now.
Oh man, I'm so nervous.
So
Yeah, that'd be
We're good to go.
My palms a little sweaty.
My bad,
All right.
my bad, my
I'm glad
bad.
we asked.
Yeah.
Jeremy would have had to do some major editing.
we had to do some things.
He's pretty good though. He would
Yeah.
do
He
it.
could have
All right, so you guys did the gender. What did you guys do? Anything special for it? Like anything? Did you like
burn down a forest.
Yeah, hit a golf.
That's what I was scared of.
Yeah.
dunk a
Cannonball,
basketball.
stuff like that. We didn't do any of that.
Okay.
And so we went to, where we at? Windsor Castle.
Oh, yeah.
So
Oh, fun.
Walked around there. We had Murphy with us.
Of course.
And then you had to bring him. And so we just walked around. Jeremy got
He
some
could
good
only
shots.
walk about 100 yards.
About 100 yards. He threw up because we walked him too much. So it was classic Murphy.
That's awesome.
And so we got some shots on the bridge and all that stuff. But we had an umbrella that had the color in
Okay.
it. And so then after all the walking and stuff, we went to an open field, went there, popped it up, opened it up, and then it
Nice.
showered down the confetti.
Okay.
Nice. That's
That's
great.
awesome.
Yeah.
Did
That's
you
really
have
cool.
somebody else like make it?
Yes, one of her work friends.
Okay,
put
so you
the-
guys
filled
didn't
it.
know for real?
No, we didn't know at all until we
that's
opened it
awesome.
up.
Did you like
that's
just
so
have to hit the button on the
And
umbrella?
it
and
just
it-
poof. Yeah.
Okay,
fun.
that's
So it's
pretty
cool.
awesome.
Yeah, we were under confetti falls
Yeah,
down. So
it's
Yeah.
fun to watch some of the fails.
Oh yeah.
no,
Like the
I didn't want
balloons that
that.
start floating away, and they're like, I don't.
we
nobody
can't-
knows what this kid's gonna be.
That's awesome.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
so
it
you
was
guys
super
did that.
easy. Yeah.
That was fun. Anybody else do any weekend? Doug, you do anything on the weekend?
We did, yeah. So me and Rachel had a little date night where we found this list of gifts to get each other, and then we both
Okay.
went to Target at the same time, and we got each other gifts.
Did you do it successfully?
Yeah, it was actually really fun.
Oh, nice.
So like,
Well, look
I'm
at
trying to
that.
track this.
yeah, so it's a list of things like favorite food, favorite
Oh, okay,
drink,
gotcha.
favorite
There's
color.
questions and you-
yeah,
Oh, that's
something that
fun.
reminds you of the other person, something you can do together.
I love
so we
that.
had a list of things, and then we had like 30 minutes to run through Target and try to get things that we thought would meet.
I
those
love
categories.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
You got to get me that list.
It was amazing.
That's
and
incredible.
then we went out to eat, and then after dinner, we kind of like revealed the gifts to each other.
Oh,
and
so
it was
fun.
like it's really fun to see what the other person like like in 30 minutes, what would they find to meet these kind of categories?
That is really good.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's awesome.
We're a little romantics
that,
in
man.
here.
Look
Look
at
at
that.
us.
Give
Full
a good
disclosure,
ideas.
this was Rachel's idea. This is not
that's-
my
okay,
idea.
very
Yeah,
good.
so,
But you are sharing it to us.
oh
Help
yeah,
us
no,
out.
totally.
Good job, Rachel.
It
That's
almost
a great
it
idea.
reminds me when we were a kid, like Christmas, we would go. It was one night you would go Christmas shopping for the whole family, and you would walk around with mom, and someone would walk around with dad, and you'd cover up the shopping carts with
Yeah.
like the gifts in front of it. So, and then it was super exciting to open them.
Yeah, it was funny. So we had rules like we couldn't interact with each other while we were in Target. So
Yeah.
a couple times I was looking, just like trying my best,
man.
and she was like, "Oh, he's there. I need to go another direction."
Did you set a spending limit?
You can, but we did not.
Okay, because that would be really
it's-
dangerous for my wife.
Oh yeah,
I have to interact with her when she's in Target. It's usually dragging her out.
Yes, a spending limit would be really good, and more time too. I needed way more time. I was like,
Kind of
I
thing,
was
yeah.
just up to the limit. It was like, oh man, I hope this is good, and it ended
Yeah.
up being really
And
good.
it was good?
Yeah, it was amazing. It was very cool.
No hat scarves or anything
No
like
hat
that?
scarves. Some unique gifts that really were thoughtful and
Nice.
and I think fit perfectly into all the categories.
I'm proud
cool.
of you.
Yeah, I'm proud of myself.
Did you guys
It's
go?
very
Did
good.
you guys go out to dinner?
Yeah, we went to 80/20 after that.
Oh, I love that place.
It's so good, and it was good service, and they had all the
See,
food.
you haven't had
I
good
vowed
service?
never to go
Oh,
there
man.
again.
Really?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
of the service.
Oh
is
man,
just-
we've never had a bad experience there.
I've had nothing but bad experiences there.
Oh man.
Went there 3 times. Each time was terrible.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
The
That's
food takes a
unfortunate.
little bit of time to come out.
Yeah.
but
well, I mean, it's a burger.
yeah, we're
I can understand that.
how hard could it be, right?
Right. It's the only thing they make.
Yeah.
You guys are hating on this place. I like it.
I love
I have never had a
80/20.
bad
Now,
experience.
the food is good.
Yeah.
That's
You just-
that's
okay.
where it
Oh,
ends
that's where
for
it
me.
is.
So
Yeah.
I got the spicy fries. I
Yeah.
forgot what they're called, but the guy when I order them, he always gives you a disclaimer like these fries are very spicy, and he tells a story about a kid who ate them and then threw up everywhere and then ran out of there and hit a door and knocked himself out or something like that. So it's like,
Okay.
gosh, man, do I really want to eat these fries? And they were so very good, but very,
Yeah.
very spicy.
They were very spicy.
Because I figured you'd be like, why don't you just let me stop you right
Yeah.
there?
I'm a one chip challenge. One
I don't
burger.
know. They were quite spicy. I
you
got-
did
I got
all the
halfway
levels
through.
of the one chip challenge, by the way.
Oh, all the levels.
Yeah, like where you go like the amount of time you go without any water or
yeah.
anything.
Oh,
Remember
yeah,
you did
Doug,
that.
Doug crushed
That was-
me in that.
but that was
Jamie
like-
was trying to jump in the
I
ice
was.
In
machine.
the ice machine.
I was definitely. If it weren't broken, it would have.
Yeah.
I would have been in there.
So I think this was different because like you're trying to enjoy the meal.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh man, like my mouth hurts.
It
and
was
that's-
really hot then.
Yeah, it was good though. It was a good heat.
Okay.
Yeah. I would eat again for sure.
All right, so we have mixed reviews on 80/20, but you can go there if you want. That's
Yeah.
good.
Well, they say 80% of the people like it and 20.
So true.
That's why it's named that
That's
way.
why it's named that.
Yeah,
They know, like
one time I
20%.
went and
I get it.
they wouldn't split the ticket at our table. So there were 4 of us. We each wanted a ticket. No, we're not going to do that. But for your convenience, there's an ATM machine at the 7-Eleven across the street.
That's amazing.
That's what they said. Literally, that's what they
For your
said.
convenience.
For my
For your
convenience. You installed an ATM machine
Yeah.
across the street. That's great. Thanks.
Oh man, I'm sorry, 80/20.
Yeah.
Some of us still love you.
They
Some of our
listen,
listeners.
Yeah, it's very good. What did I do? Oh, we had a basketball game on Saturday.
Oh, yeah. Tell us about it.
It was really bad, guys. I did not show the love of Jesus. Okay, I'm just gonna say it, but I did in the end.
Okay.
Okay.
So we show up to this game. One of my players can't be there. So
What's the name of the team?
The Red Raiders.
Is this like is this an adult team? Like you're watching adults play?
No, this is kids. This is my kids.
Oh, children. Okay.
Yeah, I'm coach. I'm the coach. I'm the head coach.
And he's missing his assistant to the head coach.
The assistant to the head coach. I do have an assistant coach. He's really good, but then I'm missing Tyler, my
missing-
assistant to
So
the
you,
head
you don't
coach.
have a Dwight on
No.
your team. Okay.
And so we are down to 7 kids because we have 8 kids total on our team.
Oh, I thought you had 7 to begin with.
The team that we played, guys, I'm getting worked up even thinking about it.
This is so funny.
We show up, I get my team doing warm up drills, and I look over. They have 15 kids on their team.
Yeah.
They're doing full hocky substitutions
Yes.
for the game.
Every 30
5 out.
seconds.
My kids, this will be the
They're
third time
dying
we
on
say
the court.
throw up on the podcast today. They're borderline ready to throw up.
Yes.
They're exhausted. They played so hard in the first half. We're down 3 points
Wow.
at halftime. And this team is good. We're playing
So it's like 6-4.
7-4.
Yeah, it's 3 points. Yeah. 7-4. Yeah.
That was crazy. You were close to the score. The director's running the scoreboard.
It's like the
I'm
opposite
trying to be nice.
of the NBA 200
Oh,
point
because she
thing.
keeps telling you that.
She keeps telling me ridiculous excuses about this thing of why we only have 7 kids on my team. And so now the second half starts and they just start running up the score because our kids are just tired. Like they're like walking up and down, which I can't yell at them. I can't even sub them in and out.
It's 28-4 final.
I got parents on my team yelling ridiculous things about how we should be playing the game. And I'm like, so I didn't do anything wrong. I may have just like aggressively been like, stop talking. You don't know what you're talking about kind of thing. And then like 4 minutes later, I was like, Holy Spirit, thanks. So I got to go over and apologize to one of the parents. I'm sorry. I'm just really frustrated because I want our kids to have a good time, blah, blah, blah. We made amends at the end of the game. It was all good, all those things.
Good.
But it's just, I am just so over this. It's so ridiculous. It's simple planning.
How many more games are left in this season?
Well, we got to play a game on Wednesday, a makeup game. We're going to get crushed. I know it because this team we're playing, I've already seen them play. They've got 37 kids on their team. And then we got a game Saturday, I think the one the following week. So, guys, we're in the grind of the season right now. And as a head coach,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
a lot to carry.
I'm trying here.
Yeah, it's a lot to carry.
So anyways, I want to be Jesus. I want to shine a light. I didn't do that completely on Saturday, and I'm going to try to be better.
That's good.
you
I like when you said Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
Such like a
He's just-
Well, I mean, isn't that so true how the Holy Spirit
Yeah.
speaks? Sometimes you're like, I know what I'm literally trying to coach. I was like, I couldn't coach
Yeah.
because I knew that I had to go apologize.
that's amazing.
yeah. So I did it immediately.
And then
Dude, there's a lot of people at these games.
Yeah.
So I just felt like a fool too, but I was like, that's what you get for acting like a dummy. You gotta go apologize. So I did, but
That's good.
we were good at the end.
that's good.
Okay.
And the kids played really hard, but they did not have fun on Saturday, unfortunately, because we lost by like 30.
I'm sorry.
They scored a lot in the second half. So that was that. Let's see. So yesterday, Sunday, what were your takeaways? Like, what was your big God moment? There's 4 of us here. What was your big God moment from Sunday?
For me, it was the last guy that got baptized, Cam, because he's what, 17?
Yeah, 17, I believe.
Yeah, and he just trusted Jesus as his savior. Because you were with him for that in the car, like some kind of you know the story better than I do, but man, I kind of got just choked up in there, man, just watching him do that, just because he like that was the same age where I like really started to understand my salvation, God's grace, like all that stuff. So it was really emotional, man, seeing that like a kid, like just like me, same age, whatever, 14 years ago, and so like God's still working, he's still moving, he's still bringing people to him. It was awesome to see that.
You were 17, 14 years ago?
Wait, 31, yeah.
Oh man, dude.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's wild.
wow.
Sorry.
Yeah, that was you didn't need to throw that out.
My
Okay.
bad.
Yeah, so we had, I think 19 were baptized yesterday, maybe
Yeah,
20.
I think it was right at 20, wasn't it?
It might have, I can't
It
remember.
might have been 20, I
Okay.
think.
18, 19.
Jeremy, remember?
19.
19.
All right.
Okay, so we go back to I was right. That's why I'm hosting.
So true.
You have all the stats in front of you.
Yeah. No, I literally only wrote down one thing for the notes today, and that was the starting lineups.
That's good.
The important things. So,
Yeah.
any other God moments or God sightings from yesterday?
I mean, the baptism probably was for me too. I just love Baptism Sunday. Yeah, and I love that we're sharing the stories of folks. I think that adds a layer of significance to the celebration. So yeah, it was just really good.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, I love seeing how many people were there to celebrate the baptisms.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Like the crowd was so dense, I couldn't see. Like I was looking for Debbie so we can get a thumbs up to get started, and I
Yeah.
couldn't find Debbie in the crowd.
She's really
not.
short.
Yeah, what are you
But
You
it
just
was,
got to listen for
yeah,
her.
there was so many people there.
So true.
And it was so cool, even afterwards, to see the people like walk down and their families and friends there to welcome them and celebrate. It was just, it just makes my heart happy.
Yeah.
To see a community of people that are excited about that decision.
Yeah, 2 things. One was around the baptism. I was so grateful. One of the guys that got baptized, his grandson, John baptized his grandson. John was in our B group. He's awesome.
He's a great guy.
He's a Buckeyes fan, and he's from Ohio, so we've already connected in a lot of ways.
yeah.
But his grandson, his name's slipping my brain right now, but
Jason?
is it Jason? Yeah. So Jason, afterwards, we put like a grate over the baptismal because we don't want kids falling in or anybody falling in, and just to get it set up. So the staff usually hangs around and does that. And he was just like right beside us, just helping like back and forth. And I mean, he wasn't doing it like, it's not like we gave out rewards or like gifts afterward. And I just thought like, man, that's just so cool. Like when God gets a hold of your heart, like he just has a servant mind around that. Yep. So that was awesome. We're going to talk about it here, so we don't have to go into depth. But my second was sitting in service. We thought of this idea. I think Heather thought of it like on Wednesday with the lights and just turning the lights off. Like that was so powerful in a moment where I was thinking the whole time around like the production side. I was like, well, we're not going to be able to see anything on camera and we can't get any pictures. And how is this going to work? But like as soon as we did it, I'm like, oh man, this is really powerful. So those were my two for sure.
That was good.
But yeah, so we've been doing daily reading. Hopefully you guys have been doing that. Today was Mark 10. And what were your takeaways? I mean, divorce was a pretty big deal in there. So that's not like super fun to talk about, but anything else or that, anything that stood out to you guys, not your first time reading Mark 10, I'm sure. So.
Yeah. I love the part where he's talking to the rich guy and the guy's like, I've been following these things since I was a boy. And then I forgot the way it words it, but it says like Jesus felt compassion for him, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. It did say that.
Yeah. And there's such a sense there. And then like afterwards he says, well, yeah, then sell everything and follow me. And he walks away sad. Like, he wasn't ready to commit to that level, but Jesus still had such a compassion for the guy because he could see his heart, right? Mm-hmm. His heart was like somewhat genuine and he wanted to do this, but there's still something that was interrupting that desire to truly be a follower. And I mean, to me, it's telling Jesus still has compassion for us, even when we're stepping away or we're kind of straying from where he wants us to be. That compassion doesn't diminish or go away.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the challenge that he puts down is not a spiteful kind of thing. It's a compassionate challenge to him. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah. Yeah, and you see his heart in that sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he said, "Teacher," the man replied, "I've obeyed all these commandments since I was young." Looking at the man, Jesus felt genuine love for him.
Genuine love.
So like when you hear that first, like he's showing compassion. And I also used to read it as like that guy walked away and like won't go to heaven. Does that make sense? But I was like, but I think the way you read that is like that guy's going to struggle his whole life trying to not just balance, but sacrifice what Jesus just said to him.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I don't know how that man's life ended up, and we don't know like if he chose to follow Christ and do that. But like I just think like that was something that in the moment he wasn't ready. Like he wasn't ready, so he walked away. But he's got to wrestle with that.
Yeah.
Man, I wish we had more of the Bible that we could read. Like, hey, remember that rich man? Let's go back and see what his life was.
Well, you kind of wonder, as you were saying that, it made me think, I wonder how many of those people that Jesus encountered throughout his life were part of those 3,000 that end up coming to faith in Acts chapter 2.
Yeah.
Because they did see Jesus and they did interact with him and they were challenged by him and maybe they rejected him in the moment, but then, these months later, they hear and see about Jesus and the resurrection. You just wonder, like, are all of these encounters like seeds of the gospel just being scattered that get, that come to fruition in Acts 2?
I mean, I think that should encourage us to know that like it could be discouraging if you share Christ or like you're trying to be this example and someone doesn't listen to you at first. Like it's not that's not the end.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be the end. Sometimes you got to just brush off your mat, right, and walk. But
like say you blow it at a basketball game.
Exactly. Yeah, just for instance.
Just for the sake of an illustration. Doesn't mean that it's...
Do you want to coach? Come on over here. By all means.
That
if someone would say something like that, maybe.
Right. That doesn't mean that everyone is going to reject Jesus because of that person's testimony. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully down the road, they'll hear from a better Christian.
Yeah.
For me, it was when James and John come up to Jesus and say, "Hey, can you put us at your right and left hand? Can we be the goat in your kingdom, know?" And then he's, he talks with them and I forget exactly what he says to them, but then he says like, the rulers of this world lord it over their followers, whatever. And then it always hits me just, among you, it will not be that way.
Yeah.
Or however he says it.
And I just among think, you, it'll be different.
It'll be different. Yeah. And it's just, I don't know, it's just something about that. Like the example that we can be living this upside down kingdom and what it shows, what it represents, how people can see that, how different it is.
Yeah, actually, Mark's version of our theme verse for the year was in today's reading.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yep.
You said something. Did you say anything else? You don't have anything for the reading?
I mean, yeah, I agree with those things. The divorce passage, honestly, I was talking earlier. I put a post to our B group every day. Raymond of Kimberly and Raymond puts the daily reading in our group chat on Church Center, and there's always questions and conversations that are going around our daily readings with our B group. And today I put in a link to John Ortberg's teaching on the Sermon on the Mount around divorce, and just historical context around what Jesus is teaching here is really pretty significant, because it comes off as particularly if your history includes a divorce, you can read this and just feel like you're being
not feeling great.
Creamed. Yeah. But in reality, what Jesus is doing is historically they'd kind of moved away from what was taught by Moses in the law, and there was this teaching that had kind of surfaced that said a guy could divorce a woman for just about anything. You find someone. The way it was worded is there was a cause for something, and so it got boiled down to you just have to have a cause. Mm-hmm. The cause could be burning the toast. The cause could be your wife gets a wrinkle that you don't like. The cause could be you find someone that you think is better than your spouse. That's a cause. Yeah. And so people were totally abusing what was written, and so Jesus is really taking an effort to protect people who were being decimated by people sidestepping the law. Mm. So it comes off as really harsh, but in actuality, it was actually a step of protection, a step of grace for people who were being harmed by the current approach to divorce. That's and good. I think like Paul adds later some layers to the whole divorce thing that Jesus does not include. And one of the things that Ortberg said is there's because Paul adds to it, what do you do in a situation like this? Is typically what is viewed as acceptable for divorce is unfaithfulness and desertion of an unbelieving spouse. That's what Paul adds. But Ortberg was talking about what do you do if there's no mention of abuse? There's no mention of what if the spouse is abusing a child? And Ortberg quoted some rabbis from back when that would say, in those situations, you can't. So there's more layers too, and I think I think we're doing a disservice of the reading if we just try to nail it into a legalistic approach, because that's what Jesus was countering was a passive approach. But I don't think the alternative to that is just a legalistic approach either. And it's more a condition of heart than anything. So
that's good. I'm glad you tackled that, because it is. I mean, it's right there at the very beginning of the chapter this week. So
and it makes sense because practically, if they were to list every cause for divorce, the letter would have been 1,000 chapters, right? So it'd be impossible for them to list every single opportunity where divorce would be allowed. So it's more so the heart behind it.
What's emotional abuse and neglect, and I mean, there's just so many things.
Thank you, guys. Tyler, where were you? Theologian?
I was here listening, man.
Yes, you were. Not so much a theologian, are we, anymore? Thank you, Jamie. All right, so let's get into the message yesterday.
He's got the education, I've got the experience.
There we go. With your powers combined. Okay, so we continued our GOAT series yesterday, Jamie. You started the message with a humongous buzzkill, honestly. You were coming off an amazing time of singing through worship.
It was really good.
And
but I was also building off of an amazing time of worship.
Yeah.
Yeah. The theme was like, when things are bad, God is faithful.
Yes, it's so true.
And Tyler hit on it, stealing Megan's thunder,
that's right.
then Megan, and he did it in both services, even
Yes.
though Megan
Megan asked,
yeah,
he's like, I don't care.
I don't care.
I just gotta do this thing.
I'm stomping on Megan's talk. So, but then Megan shares, that she's in this 3-year season of just challenge of, is God answering prayers, and it feels very hopeless.
Right.
And so I was building off of.
I know you were. I was just giving you a hard time.
Yeah. So, but yeah, just kind of talking about the darkness that is, and I think a lot of people in today's climate are struggling with it.
Yeah, I mean, we're obviously connecting with that because you can anywhere, if it's just like Facebook, if it's on social media, if it's on the news, like it's brutal.
It's brutal.
So you went through a couple different ideas, but for you guys in the room, like, what are some steps that you're taking within that world and living in that world to try to like combat the fear and anxiety, but also not completely disconnect from all of the things going on? So like how are you finding healthy balances, or what would you like to do to try to find healthy balances?
Yeah, I shared mine yesterday,
Yeah.
so go, guys.
Yeah, for Lent, first time ever done it. Old Baptist boy hopping into Lent for the first time.
Nice.
Look at you. Learning from this
you get
unchurched guy.
Right. It's true. But we gave up social media, and so no Facebook, no Instagram, no YouTube, only for Spanish practice.
Of course.
So it's just that's where we're at right now.
Yeah.
And it's been tough.
Yeah. So how's your first week and a half?
Gender reveal with no social media.
Right. Yeah. What do you do with that? But I find myself wanting to go back to my phone, check, see what's going on, because I do feel like disconnected with things that are happening in the world, but I do feel like a sense of peace in the sense that.
So a little bit of FOMO.
A little bit of FOMO, which is weird for me, but wanting to, whenever I want to look at my phone, going to Jesus in prayer. I think that was a recommendation from you, to do that. And so
I gave you a shout out in the outlet. I didn't name you, but you were the one I was talking about.
Yeah, sweet. But yeah, so like I've done that part, but then not wanting to withdraw from everything. Like that was a really good challenge yesterday to not totally withdraw. So
that was actually,
friends, but
I didn't have in my notes the people's response to fight for, and then the alternative of completely withdrawal. But it just kind of hit me as I was talking about. I think a lot of people would resonate with we got to fight for the darkness. Like fight to put the light back into the middle of all the things. So yeah, these two things: over-engage, under-engage.
Yeah, that's good. So it's weird because like I really like to be informed with what's happening in the world around me, and which makes it tough because all the news is so polarized, and you don't know who to listen to, and what is truth, what is just opinion, and like what's actually happening, and then what's commentary on what's happening.
Yep.
So I really like some of the suggestions you had on Sunday, like different news outlets that are more so just this is what's going on, and this is a biblical perspective on how to deal with it. Like the Pour Over podcast is a really good one. I love reading that. It's just like a blog that comes into my inbox.
Yep.
I read it. It kind of keeps me informed with what's happening, so I don't feel like I'm out of the loop.
Yep.
But it's so inspiring. Like these are verses that kind of meet this cultural moment that will help me find a sense of peace and direction. And that's the big thing for me is like direction. So like this thing is happening in like Ukraine, or this thing is happening in the Middle East. Like what can I do?
Yep.
Well, prayer is a big part of that.
It is.
But it's hard when I don't even know how to pray. Like, what does that prayer look like? How can I be informed in a way that's actually like positively encouraging, not just of my prayer life, but also the prayer life of people around me, maybe too.
Yeah.
So that's been a really cool challenge to stay informed, to be prayerful, and to even have that humility to even know how to pray.
Yeah.
And inspire others to pray in the same way.
Yeah. Yeah. The Pour Over's good. And there's a family version also. So if you go to their website, there's also a family newsletter that you can read over stuff with your entire family.
Yeah, I've said this to people throughout the years, but the idea like praying for something, like you can just pray for something. You don't have to know what's going on in the details. But when you do know details, it changes I think it changes your commitment to prayer as well.
Yeah.
And so it's okay, like if someone's just like, we joke about the unspoken prayer requests all the time. Like we would have testimonies on Sunday night church and someone would be like, let's stand up, make it an effort and be like, it's just unspoken. And you sit back down, you're like, oh my gosh, what's going on?
Yeah.
Then you start trying to think of ideas. You're like, well, I did see them. No, I'm just kidding. But like when you know the details of someone's life, like it just draws you a little bit closer. So that's really good. Tyler, I got to be honest, in the years past, I've rolled my eyes at people that are like, I'm giving up social media. For Lent. You're like, oh wow.
But for a first go,
wow, it's a pretty big deal.
For a first go, I'm proud of you.
But then we were sitting around as a family around the dinner table, and Addie pulled up her phone and she went over to usage, and she was like, look at how much I've used. Like, look where I'm. It tells you every single app that you use and how much. And I was like, Addison, are you kidding me? Yeah, I'm taking this phone from you right now. And she's like, well, look at yours. So I like hid it under the table and I looked at mine. I was shocked the amount of social media, like in like weeks and the percentage. So like that was a huge conviction. Holy Spirit's at work in my life, guys. Yeah, coaching. So like we're doing that, but we were like trying to do some like sweets and stuff like that, like just to add a food portion to it. But I know you're a great eater already. But I just think like that's
no cheese. He's a no cheese eater.
Yeah, no cheese. So for Jamie, when you brought that up, I have noticed that just in the last will be 7 days on Wednesday. So like in 5-6 days, it's crazy. Even the habits that I've built. Even for like swiping my phone up to click on Facebook or to click on Twitter. Like my thumb just immediately does it, and it's
Twitter?
like, oh, excuse me, formerly known as Twitter. X.
Yeah. I love how people refer to it as formerly known as Twitter.
So like you swipe your phone, unlocked it, and my thumb would go to click. It's like it's not there, and then it would register with me. Oh my god! Like how just habit forming I have in that. So I'm
it's a real thing.
I'm grinding. It's tough right now. But I will say like just even like. Things are jumping out in scripture a little bit more.
Yes.
In the words of the songs, like even yesterday, I think that's just some of the distractions that I'm cutting out. Just I'm seeing a little bit of that, so it'll be interesting over the next few weeks.
So good.
So trying to connect with those things. Jamie, you started talking about Ortberg a little bit, but
I love that Heather put in there that we could have a C.S. Lewis. Ortberg.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And Doug wasn't going to be in here, but now
I know, but now Doug's here, so we can.
Yeah.
Who is the GOAT? C.S. Lewis or Ortberg?
Yeah.
Well, Ortberg would say it's Willard.
He would.
Oh,
yeah. He's definitely a disciple of.
He is
Dallas
a disciple
Willard.
of Willard for sure. Yeah.
Ortberg also, I love his speaking voice. I don't know why, it just feels like there's so much knowledge in how he talks.
Yeah. I said to my group today when I put in that video, I mean this very sincerely. No one has probably pastored me more throughout my Christian journey than John Ortberg.
That's good.
Through his writings, through his teachings, now his devotionals. He's been a consistent voice for nearly 30 years of just speaking into my life, and he doesn't know it. But
how cool
he's been
does.
kind of a pastor to me, really.
That's awesome.
It's been
Don't
pretty
sell
cool.
yourself short. He might know.
I don't think he does. I'm grateful for his ministry.
Yeah, we don't have to build him up too much, but he does an amazing job of. I think he's on YouTube too. Like he'll do scripture, and you can see his screen in the scripture, and the way he just like talks through and can like underline things, it just, I don't know, stuff just jumps out. So he's pretty amazing.
Yeah, if you want to find him, he's currently he's not pastoring a church, so but he does this on YouTube. It's Become New is his channel, and he's currently going through the Sermon on the Mount, just section by section, and he just goes in series, and so that's what he happens to be doing right now. It's really good.
That's cool.
We learned that in the beginning, God engaged with darkness. He brought light to creation. He brought light through Jesus. And now he brings light through us. So you talked about this quote. It says, to glorify God means to live in such a way that when people look at your life, they say, thank God for God.
Yeah.
So what were your guys' thoughts, impressions on that? Because I have a few things, but I'm hosting, so I don't get to discuss first. So
yeah,
thoughts on that quote?
So that is I attributed that to Ortberg, but Ortberg does attribute that thought to Willard.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
So
interesting.
So that was a Willard idea, that to live in such a way to glorify God is to cause someone to thank God for God. And the best example of that was the one I gave yesterday in the message of when the Suffolk Public Schools puts a post up about us doing something good for the schools, and underneath it are all these people who are just thankful. And in a sense, they're thanking, even if they don't even know God, they're thanking God that God would come up with the idea of a local church that would bless our community in a way like that.
Yeah, that was a really good example. Do you guys have any other examples you thought of, or like just what that kind of, how it stood out to you?
Man, I was humbled when you read that, because like it forced me to look at my relationships and ask, like, when I encounter people, do I leave that conversation or that just situation? Do I leave and they're thinking like, oh man, thank God for God.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I don't know. Like, I would hope so, right? But it really allowed me to like think through that and look at the way that I talk to people and the way that I interact with people. And it's like, man, I hope I leave conversations and they're thinking, not just like, oh, that was a guy who likes Halo, or they're thinking like, God is good. And I saw like an example of goodness in that moment.
Yeah. Thank God for the coach of my basketball team, my kids' basketball team.
Such a good opener to the podcast.
It is.
I was just gonna say that I think we like beat ourselves up too, because like internally, I never think that. I would never think that somebody would walk away and be like, "Oh, thank God for God," because of their interaction with me. But I mean, each of you in this room have come to me, and I think I've went to you guys as well, and like told you like, man, I see an example where, man, that people would thank God for God because of how you just handled that situation or what you've done in that. And if I haven't done that to you, I apologize, but I've thought about it for sure in my head. So sorry for not vocalizing it, but yeah, just such a great quote around there. Tyler, do you have anything, or just?
I was thinking like towards the end where you went over the next steps, like the practicality, especially the feeding somebody who's hungry, giving them clothes.
So basic.
I was just like, man, I was so challenged by that to say, because I often think like I got to do this big thing, like doing this like for the public schools or whatever. But just thinking of the simplicity, like I have a neighbor who I'm thinking, man, I don't think she knows Jesus, but what's something that we could do to just like a simple thing, like whatever it is, inviting her over, or because she lives. Excuse me, she lives single, so it's like inviting her over for dinner or cutting her grass or something like that. Like,
Let her watch Murphy for a little while.
I love that. Take Murphy for a walk.
So I think she would love
that's
that.
good.
Yeah, but simplicity.
Tyler, when you were talking, I forgot to add your smooth, deep bass voice to the intro. So that was a big miss for me.
Yeah.
Here's a little walk down memory lane. Jamie, you brought it up yesterday, but I don't know if everybody knows this. But back in probably 2000, what Easter was that? 2000.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
15?
I haven't heard this story.
14?
I kind of want to hear this.
Yeah, it's probably right around there. We were over at Peak Trail. We had an amazing Easter service planned.
Yeah, we did. It was the most visually stimulating service that we had ever designed.
Yes, it was called Toxic, right?
Yeah, it was part of our Toxic series, and we had a dance number that was a lady in our church was at the time was a director of a dance studio, and she had a team that was going to come in and do this dance to the song. What was the song?
We did
Radioactive
Imagine Dragons.
Which was so cool.
We had barrels. God.
Toxic barrel things all over the stage, and for the screens, we had like 3 different screens up on the stage, and I was talking through the nuclear fallout of Chernobyl in Russia, and I had all these visual pictures of all this stuff. It was going to be this incredibly visual experience.
Yes.
And in the middle of the first service, while I'm up there teaching, a car hits a light pole and knocks out the power to our church on Easter Sunday.
I mean, the place was packed.
Yeah.
And it's just
pitch black.
Darkness.
Not a window in the room, of course.
Lights.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
AC went out.
Yeah. Everything. So you got 700 kids back in BK. You got everybody. Obviously not 700, but like it was.
So I finished the message in that service using the flashlight on my cell phone and
2 emergency lights.
And,
Can they hear you? I'm gonna say you're screaming.
Projecting my voice.
Yes.
Yeah, the best I can. And at the end of the first service, we meet up, and while we're doing this, the people in our church are amazing. So like people run home and get generators, and they're coming back and they're getting stuff set up in the, trying to make sure that we can still do services because it's Easter, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
So we meet up at the front of the church by the stage, and Rhonda comes in and Sam comes in and I'm there, and whoever else is there.
Just spitballing what we're trying
we're
to
like,
do.
what are we going to do? Like, how do we move forward? And Sam's like, I mean, I don't know how we can lead worship with, with no power, no words on the screens, no nothing. Like, I don't know how we can possibly lead worship with that. And then Rhonda comes up and she's like, I just want you to know, everyone in the back, it's like we're camping and everyone's so excited and we got
so
this.
happy.
Woo! And Sam says it was like, go Jesus.
Yeah, she was Jesus' cheerleader.
Yeah, and I was like,
it's imposspossible. She's like quoting all this scripture. I was
Yeah.
like, all right. I wanted to cancel service.
Yes, I said, Sam, if she can lead 200 kids through
the
a
pitch
kids service in the pitch black, you can
You'll
lead
figure
worship.
this out.
So we did. We went through the next
Generators, everything.
generators for I think the next 2 services, and then we had an evening service and power,
And power is
was
back on. Yeah,
You had 4.
we had 4 services.
4 services back then. Yeah.
That's a whole other story.
Yeah, that's the whole thing.
So we did 3 in the dark and 1 the way we
man.
planned it.
It was so
Okay.
cool though because we had the dancers were in hazmat suits, white hazmat suits,
Okay.
and so they danced at first, and then the lights went out, and we had a black light that came up, and we had like put chemical. Well, I don't know what it was. I don't remember what it was.
It was like
Oh, so you
soapy
see
water.
it.
it
whatever.
wasn't real chemicals. But
I was
then
gonna
like
say, I'm pretty sure we didn't use
the
chemicals.
black light comes on, and it
We
looks
used
like they're
actual
covered. They're
gasoline.
covered in toxic. Dude, we had
That's
everything
sweet.
planned. I was
Okay.
just. Honestly, I just worried about people's safety. Okay, that was what I was worried about.
So the cool thing is that like people that came for the next service that didn't actually see the power go out, they thought we had planned that.
Yes.
They left and they're like, that was an amazing service. Y'all planned like an
wow.
unplugged kind of thing for Easter? Like,
Nothing,
that's
just
gutsy.
like getting back to the basics.
yeah,
you
man,
know,
let's go.
a stripped
It
down
was
worship
awesome.
set. It was so, that was just
Yeah.
so good.
so authentic.
You guys,
Yeah.
I love this place. We're like, yeah, all right, come back.
Well, let's see y'all
come
next
back for the
week.
5 p.m. It's gonna be completely different. So we tell all that story because you mentioned that when the lights went out yesterday in your message.
Felt it a little.
Yeah, so the big idea was it only takes a little light to overcome a lot of darkness. So just talk through that example that you gave yesterday, Jamie, and just the power that we have through the light.
Yeah. Yeah, I was telling the story about going into the Blue Ridge Tunnel with the elders on our little adventure, and that tunnel is just completely dark. And just like our world is, it feels so dark, and that was kind of the correlation. That was the point of the story. And in the tunnel, as dark as it was, if you had a flashlight, it overcame the darkness. I mean, you could see where you were going. It still was it was still pretty darn dark, even with a flashlight. But you would at least prevent yourself from tripping and whatever. But the point was, the light always overcomes darkness, and if you have light in a dark place, light wins. And the whole point was just to try to say, like, this idea of retreating from all the darkness doesn't help anything get better. The idea of fighting darkness just is not the way of Jesus. And so the real way of Jesus is just to shine light in dark places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we talked about it a little bit, maybe gave a little bit examples like Tyler with your neighbor. So maybe this question isn't awesome, but maybe as a church as a whole, to shine our light, we don't have to do something like crazy or extraordinary, those kind of things. So what are some simple yet impactful ways you've seen people shine brightly for Jesus, maybe around believers?
Well, I think, here's one thing is it can be spectacular when all of us are doing
Correct.
it together. And I think like the gift is a great example of everyone's doing a little and the impact is just ginormous. And that gets highlighted through the gift, but it actually happens every single week as people give here. I mean, our next gen ministry is, I regularly still to this day have conversations with people who came for the first time, and the thing that brought them back was their kids' experience in next gen kids. And that's not possible apart from people serving and doing, just a little thing. They might think it's a little thing. I'm giving up an hour on a Sunday to be with some kids, but the impact of that is just extraordinary. And the giving that we do through the year that funds that ministry, like we know how much it costs per kid to be back there, and without giving, it couldn't happen. And so those things, they're pretty little things, but man, they're pretty extraordinary. Jeremy, I don't remember where I saw this conversation, but this was a little thing. Jeremy designs all of our merch for the church merch store, and someone sent in. Do you remember who it was? Kelly Rutherford. Oh, Kelly Rutherford. Yeah, was it a text that she sent? I couldn't find it yesterday. I was looking for it. So she sent a text to us and said that someone had come to Believers for the first time, and she asked, how did you hear about Believers? And she saw someone wearing a Believers t-shirt. That's how they got here.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
That's amazing.
So a little thing, shining a light through the shirt that you put on.
Yeah, and just
could
like
be a thing that brings someone to a place where they're going to hear about Christ.
And we're not trying to that's not like a money. We're not like you guys see merch out there now. It's not we're not bringing in a bunch of money for this thing. The idea is like they are like personal invite cards again.
They are.
And I mean that happens in the community all the time. You wear a shirt that says "Be Love" or it has our memory verse for it. It's like, well, what's that all about? Like, well, it's here. This is what we do.
I wrote about that in the Outlet a few weeks ago
yeah.
about a bumper sticker that brought someone to Believers. They were looking for our church and they followed a car that had our bumper sticker.
That's awesome.
Yep.
It's incredible.
So if you're nervous about approaching people and handing them like an invite card or whatever, like buy a couple shirts and just wear them.
Yeah.
And I promise you, like somebody's going to talk to you about it at the
But
grocery store.
the invite cards are another example. Like
Yes.
you go out with an invite card, you might think it's just the most insignificant thing, but that card could be the difference for someone if they're going through something. Even if they stuck it in their drawer for months, and then later on something is going on in their lives, and they open up that drawer and see that card, and that's the thing that brings them here.
Yep.
It's a small thing. It didn't require a lot of effort, but it can really make a big difference.
So good.
Yeah, I think you mentioned on Sunday too, just like finding those opportunities in your life to be kind and generous and compassionate towards others. And I remember like back when I was younger, there's this kid named Aaron that used to work at Fazoli's. And it was like, remember
Free
Fazoli's?
breadsticks.
I think there's still one in Greenbrier.
Is there really?
I think
It was
so.
our favorite place, right? We would go to
love that
Fazoli's,
place, too.
and the service wasn't always great. Kind of like, I mean, the way some people talk about the
think
burger
80-20.
place that we love. But the service wasn't always great. But there's this one kid named Aaron, and he was so over the top, kind and awesome, and just happy. Right? We'd go in there.
Yeah.
And he would ask us like, "How's your day?" And we would order our food, and afterwards he'd be like, "Have a blessed day. Can I pray for you?" And there's a line of people. We're like, "I don't know, man. You should probably take these orders. Like, I don't want you to get in trouble."
work.
And this dude was like so over the top, like just like a reflection of Jesus. Like we went there because of that.
Yeah.
Free breadsticks, they were okay.
Of course.
And like the Italian food wasn't all that great.
No, it really
But-
wasn't that great, and that's probably what happened to Fazoli's. Aaron
Yeah.
quit,
Oh, yeah.
and the place
Yeah, honestly,
It just
went
imploded.
That was
down.
it.
But yeah, like examples like that, where like if we are that example in our places of work or just out and about, people take notice, and it's almost like, man, it's viral, and you want to be a part of that. And I knew him personally, so I knew that he had faith in Jesus. But if somebody didn't know that, they would probably be interested in like, man, what is so different about this dude? Like, what's got you in this way that you're acting way different than everybody else?
Thank
so
God for Fazoli's.
Thank
I
God
know,
for Fazoli's.
right? It was amazing.
Speaking of that, man, I'm so excited for this Serve Day coming up.
Yeah.
Because it's just going to be, I think it's going to be awesome.
It's gonna be huge,
because
yeah.
there's this,
I hope it is. Has anyone
it's-
heard anything about? Is anyone signing up?
there are people signing up.
Yeah.
We have a
We got
bunch of
some good
sign-ups.
sign-ups.
Okay,
But
I'm
there's
excited to hear that.
like for one woman in particular who got baptized the last baptism, and then her friend got baptized
Yes.
baptism.
Yep.
When she first came here, super nervous. She got tattoos, all that stuff. She felt like she was going to be judged, and the greeter team was awesome to her, just made her feel loved and welcome. Now she's on the greeter team because she wants to do the same thing that was done to her to somebody else.
Yeah.
So great.
That's awesome.
And like that's just so cool. Like a tiny little thing saying hi to somebody.
So good.
Has caused so much joy.
Yeah.
Tyler,
It's just really cool.
You might be in line for hosting because that was the transition I was going for. So
Oh, was it?
you
Yeah,
got
not
some,
bad.
you
I
got
don't
some
know. It's
skill
all you.
there.
It's
we
all
could
you.
really,
It's rubbing off.
We could really use you
That's all it is.
in the hosting chair.
I don't know about that.
Because Jeremy, you said sometimes the things seem super small, but when you all do them, and there's an example every single Sunday.
Yeah.
Production, tech, you've got greeters, you've got next gen, you've got all these things that seem like they're so separate, but when they all work together on a Sunday, it becomes extraordinary, and we get to see like amazing life change, which is so cool. And that was an example yesterday through all the baptisms. So, guys, thank you for joining us. This was really good. I thought it was going to be like a 15-minute podcast.
Yeah, we salvaged a pretty weak script.
But then, no thanks to Heather.
Oh no.
I do want to give a shout out.
Doug's nervous right now.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous. So I know Doug's wearing this anime shirt right now.
What's up?
Not a lot of people love anime. People give me a hard time. Hey, I'm an anime nerd. I love it.
Yeah, I told you
You
once, if he was as passionate about sharing the love of Jesus as he was about his love for anime, he's getting converts to anime everywhere.
Left and right.
In heaven.
We got another one. Ben Several. I'm giving him a shout out because I think he listens to this.
Oh, yeah.
So he started watching my favorite one on Tuesday, and he is already on season 3 as I speak.
I don't want
right
to say that I'm disappointed in Ben, but
That's wild.
That definitely feels
Come on,
like it went
Ben.
against Lent.
It's worth it.
There had to be something.
Maybe so. I don't know. But it's great. Thank you, Ben.
All right. Well, your hosting privileges have now been revoked.
100%.
You were right
It was
there.
worth it.
I think
so
that's why he
close.
did it.
Oh, it's so funny because like I've been on before, and I was like, "Can we talk about D&D?" And everyone's like, "No, like
No.
you're never gonna be on the podcast ever again."
absolutely
So
not.
anime and all the nerd
Yeah,
stuff.
You guys got to do your own podcast.
Yeah.
It'll
Right.
be fine.
Oh,
With three
I mean,
three viewers.
yeah.
So, anyways, we wrap up the GOAT series this Sunday.
We do.
At 9:10:45. You can join us 1 o'clock on demand. Go be love. Have a great week. Catch me outside.
I knew it. I was waiting for it.